With Cyclops, according to current speculation, likely being another DPS character, it feels like Marvel Rivals keeps giving most of the attention to duelists, while other roles don't get nearly as much love. Don't get me wrong, DPS characters are fun, but if Marvel Rivals wants long-term variety, we need more unique strategists and vanguards. And when I think of a character who could bring an entirely new playstyle to the strategist role, Jubilee is one of the first names that comes to mind. So until NetEase finally adds her to the game, here's my full concept for how Jubilee could work in Marvel Rivals. Let's get started. Before I show the kit, for those unfamiliar with Jubilee, she's one of the most iconic members of the X-Men. Jubilation Lee, better known as Jubilee, first appeared in the early 1990s and quickly became one of the most recognizable young mutants in Marvel history. Visually, she's famous for her bright yellow trench coat, pink sunglasses, colorful clothing, and energetic personality. Unlike many X-Men who carry themselves as serious superheroes, Jubilee has always stood out because of her confidence, humor, and rebellious attitude. Her origin story is surprisingly tragic. After losing her parents, Jubilee survived on her own in a shopping mall before eventually crossing paths with the X-Men. She later became one of the team's youngest members and formed a close bond with Wolverine, who often acted as both a mentor and protector. As for her powers, Jubilee can generate powerful plasma energy bursts from her hands. These blasts often appear as colorful fireworks, but they're much more dangerous than they look. Depending on the story, her powers have ranged from dazzling light displays to explosions powerful enough to seriously damage opponents. Because her abilities revolve around energy, light, and fireworks, I think she'd fit perfectly into Marvel Rivals as an aggressive support character. As I already mentioned, her role would be strategist, but just because she's a strategist doesn't mean she won't deal heavy damage at times. And since she's supposed to be a strategist who constantly fights alongside her team, instead of hiding in the backline, a health pool of 275 HP feels appropriate. Her movement speed would of course be the standard 6 meters per second, but she can get a speed boost later on. Jubilee isn't designed to sit safely behind her teammates. Instead, she's a combat support who thrives in the middle of the action. The more she fights, the more healing she can provide. That makes her one of the most aggressive strategists in the game. Her primary fire, Luminescent Barrage. Jubilee fires rapid plasma sparks from her fingertips. Each projectile deals moderate damage and travels quickly. Every successful hit on an enemy generates plasma charge. Plasma charge is a resource that powers several of her abilities, encouraging players to stay involved in fights rather than hiding behind teammates. Additionally, shots fired directly at allies restore a small amount of health. This isn't her main healing source, but it can help keep teammates topped up during fights. And for her secondary fire, Kinetic Mend, which would be her main healing source. Jubilee converts stored plasma charge, which I talked about earlier, into a concentrated healing beam. The beam rapidly restores health and can heal multiple allies if they're lined up together. The amount healed depends on how much plasma charge has been collected through combat. Players who consistently land shots will have access to much stronger healing output, making her somewhat similar to Mantis in the sense that strong gameplay directly rewards stronger support. This creates a high-skill strategist who rewards accuracy and aggression rather than simply staying far away from the fight. Now for her first ability, Flash Burst Aura. Jubilee throws a glowing plasma orb. If it hits an enemy or ally, it explodes immediately. If it lands on the ground, after a short delay, the orb detonates in a brilliant flash. Enemies caught inside the blast become completely blinded for a short duration. Not like Cloak's vision effect, but a true full-screen flash, where they cannot see anything at all. And it would also work on CC immune characters like Diamond Emma Frost or Punisher in his ult, making it even more useful. At the same time, allies within the area receive an instant burst of healing. This ability serves as both crowd control and team support, making it useful during objective fights, team pushes, and defensive holds. For her next ability, Overcharged Jetstream, Jubilee channels plasma energy through her hands and feet using stored plasma charge. The resulting blast launches her into the air and grants temporary flight, propelling her backward or in the opposite direction of where she's aiming. While flying, she can't attack or use other abilities. However, allies beneath her flight path receive small bursts of healing over time. This mobility tool would make Jubilee one of the most dynamic strategists in Marvel Rivals. Not only can she escape danger, but she can also reposition quickly to support teammates across the battlefield. She also has a passive ability, Firework Momentum. Whenever Jubilee damages enemies, she gains stacks of momentum. Each stack slightly increases her healing efficiency. Momentum slowly decays while out of combat. This passive reinforces her aggressive support identity and encourages constant engagement rather than passive gameplay. And finally, her ultimate, Atomic Celebration. The battlefield erupts into a massive storm of colorful energy. Enemies inside the area take heavy damage over time, while their vision becomes overwhelmed by flashing plasma effects. Meanwhile, allies inside the blast zone receive continuous healing, temporary shields, crowd control cleansing. The ultimate transforms a losing fight into a winning one by simultaneously weakening enemies and empowering teammates. It comes with a slow startup animation similar to Iron Man's. Before unleashing it, Jubilee loudly announces the attack, giving enemies a brief moment to react. After all, this is meant to be a game-changing ultimate. Now for her team-up ability, X-Men Light Show. When paired with Emma Frost, Jubilee enhances Emma's defensive capabilities. Whenever Emma Frost's shield is destroyed, it releases a burst of plasma energy that heals nearby allies while damaging nearby enemies. And for Gambit, Jubilee enhances his dash. Enemies near the dash path become temporarily blinded, while nearby allies receive bonus healing. I thought about a team-up with Logan, but it would have been a lot similar to the Phoenix team-up he had. As for the look, the design you have been seeing the entire video is drawn by, I don't know who. If you know, tell me in the comments. But she will look like the classic look she always has, similar to how Rogue and Gambit got their designs. And as for her skins, I think she will get a vampire skin, as she was a vampire for a long time in the comics. This was my concept for Jubilee as a strategist. Let's take a look at the concept before we go. And this is the concept. Would you rather see her as a duelist? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more to come.